Hello everybody and welcome to Exploring the American Frontier. Today we are traveling to New Kensington to find Colonel Crawford's fort. The marker is buried somewhere between the United Presbyterian Church at Logan's Ferry, downtown New Kensington, but first I wanted to stop off and take a look at the Allegheny River. Here is the Duquesne Power Plant down by the Allegheny River, right outside of New Kensington. It was a beautiful day and people were burning on the river, but we had a story to explore and there was no time to waste. History records that in 1669 through 1670, Robert Chevalier DeLaSalle and his voyagers came gliding down the Allegheny on a journey which he believed might lead him to China. The explorer was but 26 years old. One wonders what he might have said to his aides as the expedition passed the stone wall which is now New Kensington. Surely, he must have asked some question about the great wide valley of Pucketos Creek. Perhaps the party may have encamped here and made minor explorations. It certainly was, in that day, totally uninhabited by the white man. It was the Indians' hunting ground, forest primeval, woodlands full of wild animals, streams full of fish. Before the formation of Westmoreland County, all the vast regions of this continent were, according to the system of the English government, the property of the English king, to do with as he pleased. To satisfy a debt owing from the crown to Admiral William Penn, a donation of the tract now commonly known as Pennsylvania was granted to William Penn, son and heir to the creditor, a Quaker in religion, and a favorite in the court of Charles II. Governor Penn proposed to purchase from the Indians all of their titles to the occupancy of the land. By treaty with the Five Nations in 1736, all land within the boundaries of Penn's territories were claimed to have been purchased. This treaty was supplanted by another made in Albany in 1754. When the Indians of the Five Nations, later six, conveyed to the Penns all the lands westward to the setting of the sun. The Five Nations were the tribes of the Mohawks, the Oneidas, the Cayugas, the Onondagas, and the Senecas. Later they admitted to Tuscaroras to their nations. With the influence of the French, the Indians claimed that they did not understand the limits of the purchase, and that the lands were conveyed to which did not belong to the tribes making the conveyance, giving rise to further disputes. Despite these disagreements, the colony grew and flourished for more than 60 years under the wise policies instituted by Penn, and carried out by his successors. But as yet all settlements were confined to the east of the Susquehanna, and the Indians still held northwestern Pennsylvania. Through many cases, the Indians who claimed these western parts were, before the middle of the century, or 1750, confined to their reservation on the Ohio River, a name which embraced the river we now call Allegheny. In the autumn of 1777, the border settlements were overrun by scalping parties. Many of these parties coming from eastern Ohio were known to cross the Allegheny River at a shallow place used by them as a fording. This point was about 16 miles north of Pittsburgh, between present-day New Kensington and Springdale, and it was too remote from the post at Kittanning or Fort Pitt to be guarded successfully by the military. It was therefore deemed necessary to erect a fort to cover this pathway and to serve as a rallying point for scouts, as well as to afford protection to troops who were intended to garrison it. In the spring of 1778, as the inroads of the Indians seemed to increase, one of the first duties assigned, Colonel William Crawford, who in May of 1778 took command of the Virginia Regiment stationed in the Western Department, was the building of this fort. General McIntosh was then in command of the department with headquarters at Fort Pitt. Colonel Crawford, taking with him a small party of men, went up the river to determine the most eligible site for the post and to begin its erection. The place agreed upon was the southeastern or Fort Pitt side of the Allegheny River, a short distance above the mouth of Pucketos Creek. There a stockade was built, which by direction of Brigadier General McIntosh was called Fort Crawford. Colonel Crawford commanded here at the interval during the years 1778, 1779, and 1780. From this time on, to close off the Revolutionary War, Fort Crawford was kept up as a depot and distributing place of supplies and munitions of the war for military, as the place for refuge for the surrounding inhabitants, as headquarters for scouts, and as a post garrison by the Continental soldiers under the general commanding in the department, or by independent companies of militia who were called out by the county lieutenant for short service. It served all the purposes of a frontier stockade fort. This map shows the approximate location of Fort Crawford. Its precise location is unknown, but it stood somewhere within the limits of present-day New Kensington. The marker pictured above stands near Logan's Ferry United Presbyterian Church. In 1968, the Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation began a historical landmark plaque program to identify architecturally significant structures and designed landscapes throughout Allegheny County. Beginning in 2010, Landmarks expanded its historic landmark plaque program to include counties surrounding Allegheny, especially if the applicant's site has some connection to the greater Pittsburgh region, e.g., property owned by a leading Pittsburgher or work of a distinguished Pittsburgh architect. Since Landmarks has extended its area of operation to within 250-mile radius of Pittsburgh, it is logical to extend the reach of the plaque program as well. Therefore, buildings, structures, districts, and landscapes may be approved for a historic landmark plaque if all the following conditions are met. They are remarkable pieces of architecture, engineering, construction, landscape, design, or planning, or important rich sense of history. Alterations, additions, or deterioration have not substantially lessened their value in the above respects. They are at least 50 years old and are located within Allegheny County or surrounding counties. They are not located in historic districts bearing a plaque unless the exceptional individual significance, if awarded the handsome 12 by 18-inch plaque, will be ordered by the Pittsburgh History Landmarks Foundation, but the owner must bear the cost and properly install it. The Bertner Stone House was built from 1818 to 1821 by Philip Bertner along Little Bull Creek. The land was originally a working farm and home to 4 generations of the Bertner family. In its time, the stone house was used as an election polling house and the center for their town meetings. The stately Colonel Bertner House sits unobtrusively atop a small hill no less than 300 feet from Route 28 in Natrona Heights. The house's proximity to the expressway now provides easy access for visitors, but the road once was a threat to the very existence of the house. In 1972, the original plans for Route 28 were drawn in a way that called for Bertner House to be demolished to make way for the road. The members of the community saw value in the house, however, and they petitioned then-Governor Raymond Schaefer to declare it a historical landmark. With a wrecking ball at the doorstep, the governor declared the Bertner House a historic landmark, and the state engineers flew to the site in a helicopter just in time to stop the demolition. Highway officials redrew the plans for Route 28 to exclude the historic home, the only structure in the immediate area to escape demolition. Although the Bertner House was an extravagant home in its heyday, its first homeowner, Philip Bertner, had humble beginnings. Arriving as a squatter on the land in the year 1800, Bertner farmed the land until he was able to buy it, and began building the house in 1818. With 3 stories, 8 rooms, and more than 20 windows, the house, which took 3 years to complete, was much larger than Bertner's small settler's cabin. Along with his wife, Margaret, a member of the Negley family, for which Negley Avenue is named, the Bertners soon became prominent figures in the community, as did their house. Through the next 4 generations, it served as a polling place until the second election of Abraham Lincoln. and as a meeting place for the planning of the Pennsylvania Canal, a waterway linking Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. After the death of its last resident, Holmes Bertner, and the establishment of the site as a historic landmark in the same year, the newly founded Bertner House Restoration Society took ownership and began beautifying the once great home that had fallen into despair. Together, the groups of volunteers and historic buffs worked to return the house to its original splendor. "I grew up in the valley and remember the house well," says Jeff Jones, president of the Restoration Society. "In the last 40 years, the society has put the house together and we restored it, put the new windows in and doors, and brought back a lot of the original Bertner artifacts back to the house. The space now functions as a museum, with tours given every third Sunday from July to September. On occasion, it's also a festival stomping ground. Every year, the Bertner House hosts two main events: the Harvest Festival in October and a Strawberry Festival in June. The Bertner House 46th Annual Strawberry Festival will be held June 18, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Parking and shuttle service at Citizens House Fire Hall, 965 Bertner Road, Natrona Heights 15065. The shuttle runs from 10:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Park in the dirt area at the fire hall and do not block access. No parking will be available at the house. The festivities at the Bertner House 46th Annual Strawberry Festival are the tour of the house and grounds, artisans, handcrafters in both meadows, Civil War reenactors, area demonstrators, authentic teepee, Abraham Lincoln, an herb garden. Enjoy food from our summer kitchen, bake sale, strawberry shortcakes, and Bertner House merchandise, as well as a Chinese auction basket. Admittance for this event is $10 for adults, $5 for students and seniors, and kids under 6 get in free. Benefits: the Bertner House Restoration Society Incorporated. Visit their website at bertnerhouse.org or Bertner House Restoration Society on Facebook for more. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for joining me on another video exploring the American frontier, and join us next time as we go out into the community, into the wilderness, and explore. If you like these videos, please help out the community of the frontier and share, like, and subscribe. Your sharing, like, and subscribing helps others see video content just like this. So help out the frontier community and subscribe, share, like today, so that everyone can explore the American frontier. Thanks, guys. Bye. I don't know what to say. That's the house. What do you have to say for yourself, darling?
Don't fall in the river.